If you're feeling stretched too thin, but not really ready to make a full life makeover, this video is for you. It's not about making huge upheavals, creating havoc in your life. It's because sometimes the biggest relief can come from the smallest shifts when they are aligned. It's nothing trendy, nothing that's going to exhaust you. It's just subtle, smart moves that help you feel like yourself again. This is about the real life, real peace, a real sense of getting real results in your life, starting with what you already have. You don't have to wreak havoc in your life in order to create long lasting change. There was a time in my life where things were just so super, super organized. This version of myself was just like it appeared on the outside that everything was together and had all the routines down pat, and I was doing it every single day, no matter what was going on. The color coded, number coded calendars, the 10-minute morning ritual, the 10-minute evening ritual, and just all these things. But it wasn't fitting into the 10 minutes. Everything looked great on paper and I was doing all the right things, but I was exhausted. Doing the gratitude journaling every single day, meal prepping, just everything, listening to inspirational podcasts, whatever it was. I was doing all of those things, but inside I was just exhausted and felt depleted. And I know that you probably have felt this way if you have tried to bring more organization to your life, more order to your life. And this is what starts happening. It started really controlling me, and I was just kind of going through the motions instead of being with myself. And maybe you know this feeling. You're ticking all the boxes, but you're not actually feeling better. And you feel like you've got all that you're putting forth all this effort into fixing everything, but everything is slipping through your fingers. It's probably because at that time, I realized that trying harder was not the answer. It was about being smarter. It was about being choosier. It was about making these small adjustments because the things that I was doing it was just not aligned with what I valued. So let's just talk about these micro adjustments because sometimes we feel like we need to make a big life makeover. And although you can do that, I advise doing these micro adjustments because they're tiny little tweaks that don't upset you, that don't make you feel like you're leaving something behind or losing something, that create a noticeable shift. Not because they're dramatic, but because they're strategic. And we've got to get more strategic with the way that we handle ourselves and the way that we implement changes. So that way we're not so overwhelmed. Think of them like adjusting your car mirror, right? Just a few centimeters this way, a few inches that way. You're still driving in the same car on the same road, but suddenly your view is clearer and your blind spots shrink. It's like you're able to just shift a little bit in order to see better. And this is exactly what we're talking about. These aren't really life hacks, but they're small, just conscious shifts that help reduce friction in your everyday life, your day-to-day life. And I mean, we could use a lot less friction. Stop wasting our energy on things that don't serve yourself. I mean, start investing where it really matters. I want to share three things that changed everything for myself, and it's changed a lot of my clients' lives as well whenever they started to feel better in their life and more aligned with what they were doing in their life. These shifts are very simple that you can implement in your life. The first one is the 1 minute reset. Now, this one came to me during a week where everything felt like everything was too much, even the smallest things. Emails were piling up, bills were piling up, text messages were unanswered, the dishes were piling up in the sink, the laundry was piling up. I mean, just like really everything was going. And instead of pushing through, I just paused because I was so overwhelmed for just 1 minute. And I closed my eyes and I put my hands on my chest and I asked myself, what do I actually need right now? Right in this moment, what do I actually need? Now, what's next is that I realized that most of the things were not urgent. By asking myself, what do I need? Sometimes it was just a glass of water. Sometimes it was just a stretch, to go outside, or permission just to sit and do nothing for 5 minutes. How often do you grant yourself that? This 1 minute pause became a sacred check in for myself. And the ripple effect from that was huge because it gave me more presence. It gave me permission to be more present. It made me more aware to be more present in the moment. I was less reactive. I wasn't trying to be like a, crazy person going all over the place, trying to do so many different things at the same time. I had much more energy, not because of caffeine, but because of clarity. So the 1 minute pause is the first shift. The second shift is choosing the good enough on purpose, choosing the thought good enough. This one was a little bit uncomfortable at first because as a perfectionist, as someone who tries to excel, and maybe you can relate with that, I've always prided myself on doing things well, but somehow along the way, well became perfect. And perfect became, paralysis because you can't do everything perfect. We're not meant for that. And some of the things are not, meant to be perfect. Actually, they're beautiful in all their messiness. So I started experimenting with something. I tried to do things up to 80% well, and then letting them be. Not sloppy, not careless, not unprofessional, just done. Good enough emails got sent faster. Good enough meals were healthy ish and didn't involve, 25 different ingredients and spices and, just it really was good enough. Good enough workouts got me moving without the pressure to optimize every repetition, every weight, everything. And you know what ended up happening? I got more done and I had more time. I also really reduced my anxiety of that. I always have so many things to do. There's so many things on my to-do list. And it turns out that good enough is often more than enough. It was my standard of wanting to excel up here that kept me from doing what I really needed to be doing, wanting to be doing, that was more aligned with me. So the shift number 3 is replacing should with want or need. This is a big one. This one is so powerful. I started noticing, okay, that how often I said, I should do that. We should do this. I should answer that email. I should go and do that thing. I should eat a salad. I should feel grateful. I should communicate. The list was ridiculous. And every time I said the word should, even try it right now. Every time you say the word should, you have this feeling there's a heaviness to it. So I tried to swap every time I caught myself saying I should, I rephrased it. Do I want to? Do I need to? Instead of should I? Or should this? That tiny little language shift helped me untangle myself from the people pleasing. That was a big one. It showed me which tasks were aligned with my values and which were just obligations. Wearing productivity clothes, basically obligations masks productivity. Try this for a day. Notice your shoulds, maybe even jot them down if you want to, and ask yourself, is this coming from guilt or alignment? And that one question will help you greatly in your day-to-day life to see exactly how you can make these small shifts. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to evolve. Personal growth, I think, is something that we, come in to do in our lifetime. But if you're exhausted all the time, okay, and overwhelmed, is that worth it? The last thing you need is a 30-day reset or a 12-step rejuvenation, reinvention plan to your life. You don't need to wreak havoc in your life. You don't need to have a complete life makeover to do that. You don't need to burn everything down and start over. You just need a few small little tweaks that are soul aligned shifts that work in your life, work for your life, not against it. You don't need to wake up earlier if you don't want to. If that's not how you're wired, that's not how you're wired. You don't need to meditate longer. And you definitely don't need to become, like productive person or a productivity robot where you're just constantly producing. You just need a little space and time. Now, there are certain rituals, there are certain practices that I do recommend doing, but it's got to feel natural to you. Everybody is different. And you just need a little space and clarity to figure out and a little bit of courage to listen to what actually feels right for you, not what other people are telling you. That's not what this is about. It's like if you're trying to survive your days for other people, then you've got to hit the reset button on some level. You want to feel more awake in life and that there's more. If you're wanting that, I do highly recommend that you head over to our website, drashaprasad.com, and check out our Authentic Alignment course. It's where we go deeper into all of this. It's not a boot camp. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about remembering yourself, remembering who you are, realigning your energy, realigning your time, reclaiming your time, and living with intention, not intensity. You'll get the practical tools that you need, the real support, most importantly, permission to do things differently. I think that this is something that we deal with in our life, in our society. We feel like just because everybody else is doing it this way, you have to do it that way. No, you need to have permission to do things in the way that feels right for you, what feels right for you to do. Remember, you don't need to hustle to heal and to change your life. You just need to start where you are with what you have and trust that it's enough. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this helped, leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time.